Pete Lofton is our founder. He was a big telecommunications guy. He created or helped create a business known as telecommunications. Listen to me. As Earthlink. If anybody is kind of familiar with that facets of the internet, he sold that in the 90s to have a nice $1 billion to his name, and not too bad for a 28-year-old. I mean, that did kind of help expedite some of these out here, but we have some Discovery series and some Fusion series, lots of series that kind of helped us get our feet going and in our market, because our Origin series is it's only 6 years or more. So we had to do something in those little bit of time that we were aging, and we'll get touch on that a little bit more later. But as you see, we got a lot of rick houses that are spaced out. And spaced out because if anybody is familiar with the Heaven Hill fire of '96, we learned a very hard lesson to not have them all kind of put together. Lightning struck and then fire. And I mean, these are just barrels in here, just fuel for fire, right? So we have the regulated space between them. We have dry moats out there. So if one does catch on fire, it can kind of be contained to a little spot, and we can control and save the rest of the rick houses here. And we do have three different sizes of rick houses. So this one here, as you see with kind of the staggered, the rooftop, that's going to be our smaller size. It's about 22,500 barrels. Fill that up. That would be at that max height. And then the ones with the wooden staircase, and then this last one that we're going to go to, Rick House K, it's about a median size, 32,500 barrels. And then way back there where those trailers are, those are going to be the highest capacity we have at 58,800. So we have about 600,000 barrels on site, which is crazy to me. And what's even more crazy is that that's not all we're going to be doing in the next few years, because behind that white building back there, Flowers Bakery, we just bought another 300 acres. We're going to build another 15 more rick houses out there, and it's all at that 58,800. So in the next couple years, or maybe close to before 2030, we should reach about 1.4, 1.5 million barrels on site. And that's, of course, every single one being at that max. It ages out, so that number will fluctuate in real time. But that's just blows my mind, right? That's crazy to me. But yeah, we got about 2 done over there. So in the next, they're going about a month up or so. So it's pretty fun and it's pretty exciting. We're basically going to be replicating this campus over there. Maybe without the lobby part that we have. But if it gets a huge operation, we might have another lobby over there too. But also, marketing would have everyone in the business that we would just be cutthroat, right? But we're not. I mean, when '96 in that Heaven Hill fire, we all pulled together to help them rebuild their volume, and we didn't want them to go bankrupt, so we all pulled together. We want to be able to borrow a cup of sugar and give a cup of sugar. And so with that, competition, we do have friendly competition like this barrel relay race over here. They're all filled with water, so don't try to take those barrels. It's not going to be too much fun whenever you get those. But basically, it's just time to go around, and that arrow that is pointing to a bung where everything goes in the hole for it. So you're kind of docked on points if it's not at that 12 o'clock. And that's just naturally where you want to have the barrel anyway, just so there's not so much pressure on that bung to blow out, right? All right, well, it's getting a little muggy out here, so let's head on in real quick. Yes, please take pictures, take videos, all that good stuff. $1.5 million is just the glass. We thought, let's just have one science experiment building. Because, it's all the proofs, the fireproof, shatterproof, safety-proof, basically, right? But this is our science experiment because, as you see, it's all glass. It's going to be affecting these guys a lot differently with the temperature. And this is about a 3-year-old building, so it seems to be aging in the right way. And we kind of, all the different recipes in here, we do rotate them. It's the only rick house that we do rotate in, just to kind of see what the sun does to the different recipes in here. But so far, everything seems to be going good. And in the end of that 3-year time frame, hopefully we release something along the lines of like the play on the sun, like a sunset series. And if it's a terrible product, then you may just not hear about it. Or like with a lot of our science experiments, we might just age a little bit longer or kind of take a right or left and blend it with something else. So at least we don't waste some product, right? There's something that we can find out to do with that. So does anybody know how to read a barrel? I'll take that as a no. So, or you can use any of that are in front of you. I'll use this one over here. All right, so we get stamped with all this info here. The top is just going to be who it is. These are ours. It could be a moniker of anyone that's going to be working with us. DSP, distilled spirit plant, and that is basically telling the government that we're a distillation plant process. So it's our liquor license, essentially. We're 20,037 in Kentucky. We bought Green River, a distillery in Owensboro, a couple years ago, and they are DSP 10. They started in 1885. If that's any indication on how many has been there between 1885 and 2016 when we got ours. Spirit type, I mean bourbon whiskey, rye whiskey. That's what you're going to be seeing on our campus quite a bit. And the lot number, and that's going to tell you the age of the barrel. So it goes number, letter. Anybody know what this 19 might stand for? 2019, exactly. The L, it's going to be the month for it. So, you're getting there?
Yeah, December, I think.
Yeah, December. So, you don't use the beginning of all the months because A's and A's can get confusing when you're trying to organize it. So you go A is January, B is February, and so on. So L is going to be December for you. And the 10, yep, so this is almost a Christmas barrel, right? December 10th of 19, and then the A, that just means the tank that it came out of that day. So if it was the first one, it wouldn't have a letter. If it's the second one, it'll be A, the third one will be B, and so on and so forth. And then serial number is just the barrel that was rolled into here to be stored and aged of that year. So this is about 104,000 of the 2019 kind. So now you know how to read barrel. Any questions so far?
The first female master distiller since Prohibition is actually working with you, and we're aging her barrels here. Is that correct?
The Forbidden.
The Forbidden?
Mary Ann.
Marianne.
She is not she's not part of the company, but she is part of that contract. We bottle for her.
You bottle for her here. Okay.
Went to government, right? So way back when we were just getting our legs in America, Britain was still like, well, I want a piece of that. So they did the excise tax on on manufactured goods. Whiskey was one of the first ones. So now that we have that, the government officials would be walking around with this. So the merchants would be seeing them. Oh my gosh, they're going to steal our stuff. They're going to take our stuff. They're thieves. They're whiskey thieves. Thus, the copper straw has maintained the same apparatus and the same name because it's a tradition and it's been working just fine ever since then. Made out of copper. Because copper is pretty cool that bad stuff sticks to it in a very general sense. So it won't contaminate barrel if you let it dry and you touch it. So, and once it is on, it'll adhere to that and stick to it. So now we get to have a little try. So whoever is celebrating anything, anniversaries, birthdays, just excited to be here.
First Bourbon Trail experience?
Yeah, anything. You said this is horrible?
No, this is our first.
Oh, I was like, Dan, right off the bat, it's horrible. Please, okay, I'm so sorry. Dang. Well, whoever, if you want to just start kind of lining up here, I'll just tell you the mash bill or the recipe that's in here for it. So this is 68 corn, 20 wheat, and 12 barley for you. So in a very general sense, wheat is sweet and rye is going to be dry. And wheat itself isn't necessarily sweet. It kind of just gives away of your product left, which is a bummer. Because in Kentucky, you are taxed at every year that you age it at that full 53 gallons that every barrel holds. Full 53 gallons every year. No matter if you have 89%, no matter if you have 10% at the end, every year, full 53 gallons for it. Now, the silver lining of that is in the next 20 years or so, we're kind of phasing out that tax system. So it should just be like a one-off, the state, federal, and then the distribution taxes. And then once we pop it for the consumer tax. It should just be a one-off at that point because we made gambling, sport bet legal here. And also the cannabis industry is also moving in here. So instead of the bourbon taxes going into our economy, those taxes are going to be kind of funneled back into it. So hopefully in those next 20 years and a little bit after, we'll see those older age staples kind of go down in price, especially the ones coming from here. Because that's, as far as I know, if you age it in Indiana, you can do everything here and age it in Indiana, and it's just a one-off on the taxes. So maybe keep that in mind if you ever want to age your own. But in the next 20 years, that should be phased out to just be like a one-off. But the government's the government. Who knows what it might be reslapped as and whatnot.